Hey there, language enthusiasts, and a very warm welcome back to the Deep Dive. It's great to have you joining us.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, really glad you're here. Before we get into the thick of it today,
Just a quick heads up. If you're serious about leveling up your English and you haven't yet, do pop over and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Seriously, loads of great resources there for your learning journey.
definitely worth checking out. Okay, so what are we diving into today?
Well, we're tackling something, I think, a lot of us fall into the habit of leaning a bit too heavily on the word very.
Ah, yes. Very. The trusty workhorse of adjectives. It's useful, no doubt about it.
It is, but relying on it all the time can make your English sound a little, basic maybe. Less impactful.
Exactly. It's like using just one screwdriver for every single job. It works, kind of, but you're missing out on the power and precision of a full toolkit.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
And speaking of toolkits, to help us explore some of those more specialized tools, we've been digging into this really cool 5-part YouTube series.
Right. From the Learn English, Let's Talk Free English Lessons channel. Good stuff.
Yeah, really good. They've pulled together 50, count them, 50 advanced English words that work as fantastic alternatives to using very plus an adjective.
And our mission today for this deep dive isn't just to read you a list.
No way. We want to actually unpack these words, look at the subtle differences, figure out why you might choose one over just saying very something.
It's about equipping you, the listener, with a more sophisticated, more nuanced vocabulary, making your communication clearer, more impactful.
And honestly, helping you sound more fluent and confident quicker. It's kind of a shortcut, in a way.
Think of it as upgrading your descriptive powers, moving beyond just good or bad or big or small with very tacked on.
Right. We want to give you the context, show you the effect these words can have, and, offer some practical ideas for actually using them.
Yeah, moving from just getting your point across to really making it land, resonating.
So if you're ready to, polish up your English and add some extra sparkle, you are definitely in the right place.
Buckle up. We're about to explore these replacements. We'll look at examples, talk about the feel of the words. Should be interesting.
Okay, let's kick off with part 1 from that series. The section covers alternatives for phrases from very boring all the way through to very often.
Right. First one up, very boring. And the alternative they suggest is dull.
Dull. Okay, so they both mean not exciting, obviously, but dull. It feels a bit stronger, doesn't it?
It does. I think dull often implies not just a lack of excitement, but maybe a real lack of interest or life, something tedious, maybe even a bit flat.
Yeah, flat is a good word for it. The example sentence was, "The party I attended last evening was quite dull."
And you can almost feel the speaker just sigh, like there was zero energy there.
Right. If they just said very boring, it might not quite capture that same feeling of listlessness or just meh.
Exactly. It's subtle, but it adds a layer. Think about how often we just default to very boring.
All the time.
Maybe dull is better when you want to emphasize that something was truly unstimulating, like a dull lecture versus just a very boring one.
Okay, yeah. A dull presentation, you immediately picture someone droning on, maybe. No engagement.
Precisely. It signals that lack of energy or interesting content more strongly.
Makes sense. Okay, moving on then. Very noisy. The alternative is deafening.
Ooh, now that's a step up in intensity.
Totally. Deafening isn't just, there's a lot of noise. It's overwhelming, painfully loud almost.
Yeah, the pronunciation they mentioned, deafening, helps too. It sounds impactful.
It does. The example was, could you turn down the volume? It's deafening.
And you immediately get it, don't you? The urgency, the actual discomfort.
Right. Very noisy, could be a busy cafe, maybe kids playing.
But deafening, that's the rock concert speaker right by your ear or, heavy construction right outside. It's about the impact.
Yeah, good point. And using a word like deafening often means you don't need to explain further, right?
Exactly. You don't need to say, it was deafening, it was so, so loud. The word itself carries that weight. Saves you words.
Nice. Okay, next. Very funny, and the replacement is hilarious.
It's hilarious, another step up.
Yeah. Both mean funny, but hilarious. It suggests something extremely funny, doesn't it? Maybe outrageously so.
Yeah, like causing proper belly laughs, something maybe absurd or unexpected.
They ask the listener, do you think it's hilarious? And the example, which was a bit unusual, I'm into a big mess. Hilarious. I guess meaning the mess itself is hilariously large or complicated.
Could be. Or maybe finding humor in a bad situation. But the point is, it's beyond a simple chuckle. It's that side-splitting kind of funny.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Have you found the distinction holds true? Like, some comedians are funny, others are hilarious.
Oh, absolutely. You might find a sitcom very funny, but that one stand-up special that had you crying with laughter, that was hilarious. It's about the degree of amusement.
Yeah, the peak comedic effect. Good way to put it. Okay, next one is very strong, and the alternative is forceful.
Forceful. This one's interesting.
How so?
Well, very strong just indicates, a high level of power or strength. But forceful, it often suggests that strength is being actively used or applied. There's an exertion involved.
Ah, okay, so it's about the action, not just the potential.
Often, yes. Look at the example.
Yeah.
A forceful storm is making its way into the area. It highlights the storm's active, destructive power.
Right. You wouldn't really say a forceful, gentle breeze, even if the breeze was technically quite strong.
Exactly. Because the breeze isn't typically overcoming resistance in the same way. Forceful implies impact, maybe even aggression.
That's a really useful distinction. So, like, a powerful argument could be described as forceful if it really pushes its point across strongly.
Precisely. It's about the directed use of that power or strength.
Got it. Okay, next pair. Very small and petite.
Petite, pronounced petite, as they pointed out.
And this one feels a bit different because it's borrowed from French, right? It has connotations.
It does. It often suggests not just smallness, but a kind of daintiness, elegance, delicateness, especially for women or certain objects.
So it's not just about the physical size, but the quality of the smallness.
Exactly. The example was $1 million for this petite house. That's way too much.
And using petite there, it almost emphasizes the contrast, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Like, this small, possibly charming house doesn't warrant that huge price tag.
Yes, it adds that nuance. A very small car is just about dimensions, but a petite cafe might suggest something charming and intimate because of its size.
Okay, I like that. It adds flavor.
Yeah.
Next up, very weak becomes frail.
Frail. This one often suggests a weakness linked to maybe age or health, doesn't it?
Yeah, it feels more specific than just very weak.
Yeah.
It implies a certain vulnerability, a lack of robustness.
Right. The example, his frail hands could hardly hold a cup.
Oh, that paints a picture immediately. Delicate, maybe thin hands, lacking strength, probably due to illness or old age.
Exactly. If you just said very weak hands, it could be temporary, like after exercise. But frail suggests something more inherent or long-lasting, a fragility.
Yeah, you really feel the vulnerability of that word. Okay, next is very stupid, and the alternative is idiotic.
Idiotic. Definitely a stronger criticism.
Yeah, both are negative, but idiotic feels like it implies a particular kind of foolishness, maybe something glaringly obvious or lacking any sense.
I think so. There's often a sense of disbelief or strong disapproval. How could you do something so idiotic?
Right. The example. It was idiotic of you to leave the safe open. Luckily, we haven't lost anything.
See? There's that tone of reprimand, almost exasperation. It wasn't just a mistake. It was a profoundly unwise, easily avoidable action.
So very stupid might just be a lack of smarts, but idiotic is more about a specific, foolish action or decision.
Often, yes. It feels more active and judgmental.
Good point. Okay, next. Very confused. And the alternative is perplexed.
Perplexed. I like this one.
Me too. Sounds quite sophisticated.
It does, and it suggests more than just basic confusion. It's like bewilderment when faced with something complex or contradictory. You're actively trying to figure it out, but you can't.
The expert in the video actually said they use it quite a bit. The example was, I was totally perplexed after reading those different reports. The numbers didn't match.
And doesn't that sound better than, I was very confused? It really captures that mental struggle with conflicting information.
It really does. Very confused, can feel a bit passive or temporary.
Yeah.
Perplexed suggests you're really wrestling with the problem.
Yeah, it implies a deeper level of mental engagement. Definitely one to try using.
Agreed. Okay, then we have very afraid, replaced by fearful.
Fearful. Similar meaning, but again, nuances. Fearful often suggests a more sustained state of worry or apprehension, doesn't it?
Yeah, like an ongoing anxiety rather than a sudden fright.
Right. Can also have that sense of awe mixed with fear, like Blake's fearful symmetry, but usually it's about apprehension.
The example connected it to parents. Parents these days are fearful about their children's screen time.
That's a perfect example. It's not that they're scared of the screen at that moment, but they have this ongoing worry, this fear about the long-term effects.
So you might be very afraid of a spider jumping out.
but you might be fearful about, say, losing your job or the future of the planet. It often looks ahead to potential negative outcomes.
That's a clear distinction. Okay, last one for part one.
Yeah.
Very often becomes frequently.
Frequently. This one feels a bit more straightforward.
Yeah, it basically means happening regularly or many times. It's just a slightly more formal way of saying very often, maybe.
I'd say so. Good for writing, or maybe more formal speech. The example, I frequently visit my parents on weekends.
It sounds perfectly natural, just a touch more formal than, well, I visit them very often.
Exactly.
Okay, so that's the first 10. Quick recap. Dull for lacking life. Deafening for overwhelming noise. Hilarious for extremely funny. Forceful for active strength. Petite for dainty smallness. Frail for vulnerable weakness. Idiotic for glaring foolishness. Perplexed for deep confusion. Fearful for ongoing apprehension. And frequently for regularly.
Fantastic start. 10 really useful words, and understanding those subtle differences is key, isn't it?
Absolutely. It's not just swapping words. It's choosing the right shade of meaning. Okay, ready for part two?
Let's do it. Part 2 kicks off with very quick.
Right. Part two, first up, very quick. And the alternative is rapid. Stress on the first syllable. Rapid.
Rapid. Yeah, this suggests speed, but often in the context of like change or processes happening swiftly.
Right. Maybe more impressive or notable speed than just quick.
Sometimes. The example was, you can't make rapid decisions when it comes to making investments.
Okay, so that highlights that even though something is fast, rapid, it still needs care. A rapid change doesn't necessarily mean a careless or rushed one.
Exactly. Think rapid growth or rapid response. It implies speed within a process. A cheetah is very quick, maybe, but economic changes might be rapid.
That makes sense. It links to needing quick thinking, but still being careful. Good one. Okay, next. Very perfect. Alternative. Flawless.
Flawless. This really amps up perfect, doesn't it? It means zero imperfections, no faults, no blemishes, nothing wrong at all.
Sets a really high bar. The example, the room service at the hotel is flawless.
Which implies, absolutely nothing went wrong. Every single aspect was perfect. It wasn't just very good. It was literally without a single flaw.
Yeah, it's quite absolute. You might aim for a very good performance, but achieving a flawless one is rare and exceptional.
Precisely. Emphasizes that complete absence of error.
Okay, moving to very shy. The alternative is timid, pronounced timid.
Timid. This seems to focus more on the lack of confidence or courage, especially in social situations, right?
Yeah, it feels more about behavior resulting from shyness, like being hesitant or easily frightened.
The example fits that. She's timid and lacks confidence while meeting new people.
You can picture someone kind of shrinking back, maybe avoiding eye contact.
Yeah.
Very shy is the general feeling, but timid describes how it plays out.
Yeah, captures that hesitant, maybe slightly fearful interaction style.
Got it. Okay, next pair. Very thirsty and parched.
Parched. They mentioned the soft T sound. This one implies extreme thirst, doesn't it?
Totally, like beyond just needing a drink. It suggests real dryness, often from heat or lots of physical activity, severe dehydration almost.
The example nailed it. After an hour-long run in the park, I was totally parched and exhausted.
You can practically feel that dry throat, that desperate need for water. Very thirsty might be after sitting indoors for a while, but parched is, after that long run.
Exactly. It conveys that intense physical state much more strongly.
Definitely. Okay, then very hurt becomes battered.
Battered. This suggests significant damage, doesn't it? Either physical, like a battered coastline after a storm.
Or emotional, like in the example. Her angry words battered his feelings deeply.
Right. It implies being hit repeatedly, metaphorically, or literally, leaving someone feeling bruised and damaged.
It's a much stronger image than just very hurt. Hurt can be temporary, but battered suggests a more lasting, significant impact, like you've taken a real beating.
Yeah, powerful word for conveying severity.
Okay, next is very open, and the alternative is transparent.
Transparent. This leans heavily into honesty and clarity, right? No hidden agendas.
Exactly, like you can see right through it. It implies a willingness to be completely open and understood.
The example. I was hoping you could consider my suggestions with a transparent mind.
Meaning, like, honestly, without prejudice, with all your thinking clear and visible.
Precisely. It encourages that frank, open exchange. Very open might just mean receptive, but transparent goes deeper into the honesty and lack of concealment.
Suggests real trust and straightforwardness.
No.
Okay, then very powerful becomes compelling.
Compelling. This is about having a strong effect, isn't it? Like grabbing your attention or persuading you strongly.
Yeah, evoking strong interest or belief. The example, I found the whole movie compelling. I don't mind watching it again.
So the movie really held them, captivated them, made them want to engage with it more.
Right. Very powerful is broad, but compelling highlights that specific ability to draw you in, to influence you, to make you care.
It's that story or argument that you just can't put down or look away from.
Exactly. Okay, next. Very shiny, and the alternative is gleaming.
Gleaming. This suggests a bright, often attractive shine, doesn't it? Usually because something is super clean or polished or new.
Yeah, feels more radiant than just shiny. The example, the car was gleaming after a wax polish. It seemed as if it was new.
You get that strong visual bright light reflecting off a smooth, perfect surface. Very shiny. Could be, I don't know, a cheap plastic toy. But gleaming often has a more positive, dazzling quality.
Like gleaming teeth or gleaming silverware. Okay, penultimate one for part 2. Very talented becomes gifted.
Gifted. This strongly implies a natural, innate ability, right? Something beyond just practice.
Yeah, like a special talent you're almost born with. The example, Ron is a uniquely gifted singer. His voice adds magic to the lyrics.
It emphasizes that special, almost effortless quality of the talent. The presenter asks listeners if they knew someone gifted, prompting that connection.
It implies a level of skill that seems extraordinary. Okay, last one for part 2. Very worried and depressed.
Right, and this is an important one to handle carefully.
Definitely. The presenter stressed that while being depressed involves worry, it's a much stronger term. It implies a serious, often clinical state of low mood, sadness, loss of interest.
Absolutely. It's not just feeling down for a day. The example, Rhea is depressed about her speaking test. She needs to score a band 8.
So, in that context, the worry is so intense and possibly prolonged that it's causing a state described as depression. But we need to be mindful not to overuse depressed for everyday worries.
Crucial point. It signifies a much deeper, more pervasive state than just being very worried. Okay, let's recap part 2 quickly.
Got it. Rapid for swift processes, flawless for absolute perfection, timid for hesitant shyness, parched for extreme thirst.
Battered for significant harm, transparent for open honesty, compelling for drawing you in.
Gleaming for radiant shine, gifted for natural talent, and depressed for that serious low mood. Used carefully.
Another 10 fantastic additions. Each one really does paint a clearer picture than just using very.
It's amazing, isn't it, how much more depth you get? Okay, on to part 3, starting with very sure.
Right, part 3, very sure becomes certain.
Certain. This feels stronger, more definite than very sure, doesn't it? Like zero doubt.
Exactly. It conveys a real conviction, a firm belief or knowledge that something is true or will happen.
The example is kind of fun. I am certain there's something cooking between Nisha and Ryan.
Yeah, and they explain something cooking, that's slang for a secret romance. Yeah. Using certain there shows absolute conviction about it.
Right. You might be very sure you turned off the lights, but you'd be certain if you went back and checked. It implies a higher level of confidence.
Based on evidence or just strong inner belief, yeah.
Okay. Next, very clear. And the alternative is obvious.
Obvious.
Yeah.
Meaning easily seen or understood, right? No need for explanation. It's just there.
Yeah, readily apparent. The example. The effect of this pandemic on the economy is now obvious.
Highlighting something that's become undeniable, visible to everyone. Very clear. Could be about eyesight, maybe, but obvious is often about intellectual understanding or perception.
It's the kind of thing you react to with, well, duh, that's obvious.
Pretty much. Okay, next. Very busy. This becomes swamped.
Ooh, swamped. I like this one. It's very visual.
It really is. It paints a picture of being completely overwhelmed, like you're drowning in work or tasks.
Totally. The example. I am swamped the whole day with video calls and emails.
Yeah.
So relatable.
And the presenter even asked listeners if they felt swamped working from home. It captures that feeling of just having too much coming at you.
Yeah, very busy. It's common. We're all busy. But swamped implies that intense, maybe stressful level where you can barely keep your head above water. I definitely felt swamped last month.
We've all been there. It's a great word for that specific feeling.
Okay, next pair. Very special and exceptional.
Exceptional. This points to something really out of the ordinary, doesn't it? Remarkably good. Standing out from the norm.
Yeah, implying a really high quality or uniqueness. The example. Her capability to remember math formulas is exceptional.
It emphasizes how rare and high level that skill is. Very special can be quite subjective, maybe sentimental. Exceptional often suggests a more objective measure of being outstanding.
Like an exceptional talent or exceptional results.
That is.
Okay. Very smooth becomes sleek.
Sleek. This often relates to design or appearance, right? Smooth, elegant, maybe streamlined.
Yeah. Polished looking. It can also imply efficiency, like moving without friction. The example was about a scooter. Although it's my grandfather's scooter, it's still pretty sleek to ride.
Suggesting it looks good and maybe rides smoothly, effortlessly despite its age. You have very smooth skin, perhaps. But a car or a phone has a sleek design.
Okay, good distinction. Next. Very lazy. The alternative is indolent.
Indolent. Sounds a bit more formal, maybe even more critical.
I think so. It describes someone who is like habitually lazy, avoids effort, doesn't want to work.
Right. The presenter gave that personal touch, saying they're not indolent generally, but maybe sometimes on weekends.
Yeah, and then the other example, television and video games have bred a generation of indolent teens.
And they explained bred there means kind of developed or cultivated that trait. It suggests laziness as a more ingrained characteristic, not just a temporary feeling.
So very lazy today, but indolent describes a general tendency.
Often, yes. It implies a more consistent lack of motivation.
Okay, next word. Very sorry. Alternative. Apologetic.
Apologetic. This focuses on the expression of regret, doesn't it? Actually saying sorry or showing remorse.
Yeah. Very sorry is the internal feeling, but apologetic is the outward action or demeanor. The example. He was deeply apologetic about his late arrival.
Meaning he clearly expressed his regret, acknowledged the mistake. It describes the way someone behaves when they are sorry.
Makes sense. Okay, then very happy. This becomes ecstatic.
Ecstatic. Another big step up in intensity.
Totally. Overwhelming joy, intense delight, like peak happiness.
The presenter joked, "You can call me ecstatic," the example. She was absolutely ecstatic when I told her the news.
You feel that explosion of joy much stronger than just very happy, like winning the lottery, ecstatic.
Exactly. Pure, maybe uncontrollable happiness.
Right. Okay, very mean. The alternative is cruel.
Cruel. This implies intention, doesn't it? Deliberately causing pain or suffering.
Yeah, it feels much harsher than mean. Mean can sometimes be thoughtless, but cruel sounds malicious. The example. Don't tease him about his weight. It's cruel.
A clear judgment that the action is intentionally hurtful and harmful. It's a strong condemnation.
Definitely. Okay, last one for part 3. Very colorful becomes vibrant.
Vibrant. This suggests more than just color, right? It's about life, energy, brightness.
Yeah, full of life and vivid color. Stimulating. The presenter linked it to rainbows and the Festival of Holi.
Saying holy is so vibrant. It captures that lively, energetic, colorful atmosphere.
And they hoped learning these words would make the listener's English vibrant, too. Nice touch. Okay, recap part 3. Certain for definite belief, obvious for easily seen.
Swamped for overwhelmed, exceptional for outstanding, sleek for elegant smoothness.
Indolent for habitually lazy, apologetic for expressing regret, ecstatic for intense joy.
Cruel for intentional harm, and vibrant for full of life and color.
Another great set. We're really building a powerful vocabulary here. Ready for part 4?
Absolutely. Let's keep going, starting with very neat.
All right, part 4, kicking off with very neat, and the alternative is immaculate.
Immaculate. This means like perfectly clean and tidy, right? Spotless.
Exactly. Free from any flaws or dirt. A really high standard of cleanliness and order.
The example was about cleaning a park. With everyone's help, we were able to make the park immaculate.
It elevates it way beyond just very neat. An immaculate room suggests pristine condition, not just tidiness. Like a surgeon's operating theater needs to be immaculate.
Good comparison. It implies that ultimate level of clean.
Okay, next, very sleepy. And the alternative is lethargic.
Lethargic. This is more than just sleepy, isn't it? It's that heavy, sluggish feeling. Lack of energy, lack of enthusiasm.
Yeah, like you physically don't want to move.
Yeah.
The example, working for a straight 10 hours made me feel lethargic.
Captures that deep exhaustion combined with a lack of motivation. Feeling sleepy might mean you just need a nap, but lethargic feels more profound, like your whole system is slowed down.
I definitely feel lethargic after a really long journey sometimes. It's a good word for that state.
It is. Okay, very tasty. The suggestion is appetizing.
Appetizing. So this focuses on the appeal before you eat it, right? Looks or smells good enough to make you hungry.
Exactly. It stimulates the appetite. The presenter, calling themselves a total foodie, said, I always crave for something appetizing.
So it's about that visual or olfactory appeal that makes you want to eat it. The presentation can make food appetizing, even before you know if it's actually tasty.
Good point. It's about the promise of deliciousness.
Okay, next pair. Very risky and perilous.
Perilous. This sounds significantly more dangerous than just risky.
Yeah, it implies full of actual danger, high potential for harm, serious risk involved.
The example. She promised to climb up the perilous peak, but she backed out.
Perilous peak really emphasizes the extreme danger, likely more than just a very risky climb, I'd suggest. It implies life-threatening danger, perhaps.
It often does. Think a perilous journey. It signals major hazards.
Got it. Okay, very creative. This becomes innovative.
Innovative. This focuses specifically on the newness and originality of the creativity, right? Introducing new ideas or methods.
Yeah, leading to improvements or advancements. The example used Elon Musk and his innovative business ideas, like the driverless car.
So it's not just artistic creativity, but creativity that results in something new and impactful, often in tech or business. Problem-solving creativity.
Right, bringing something genuinely novel into the world.
Exactly. Okay, next. Very roomy, and the alternative is spacious.
Spacious. Pretty straightforward, just means having lots of room, lots of open space.
Yeah. The example was about cars. Buy a premium hatchback. It's spacious and has better head and legroom.
Directly highlights the abundance of interior space. A spacious apartment, a spacious garden. Clear meaning.
Moving on to very detailed, the word is meticulous.
Meticulous. 4 syllables, they pointed out.
Yeah.
This describes someone who pays extreme attention to detail, right? Very careful, very precise.
Exactly. Or something done with that level of care. The example, wow, I love your house. The interiors are meticulous. Every corner has something to say.
That conveys real admiration for the thoroughness, the precision, nothing overlooked, every tiny element considered.
Yeah, implies painstaking care and attention.
Okay. Next, very crowded. This becomes bustling.
Bustling. I like this one. It suggests not just crowdedness, but also activity, energy, movement.
Yeah, people moving around, lots going on. The examples were cities like Mumbai, New York, London being busy and bustling.
And the reflection on how even bustling Mumbai fell quiet during the pandemic, it captures that vibrant, energetic pulse of a busy place.
A bustling market. A bustling train station. Good word.
Okay, penultimate for part 4. Very scared. Alternative, petrified.
Petrified. This is extreme fear, isn't it? Like frozen with fear.
Exactly. So scared you can't move or think clearly. Turned to stone, almost.
The example, the idea of making a speech in public petrified him.
It conveys that paralyzing level of fear, much more intense than just being very scared. Stage fright can definitely feel petrifying.
Oh yeah, I remember feeling petrified before my first big presentation.
It's a relatable feeling. Okay, last one for this part. Very different. The alternative is disparate.
Disparate. This means extremely different, right? Like fundamentally dissimilar. Hard to compare.
Precisely. The examples were Ryan and Ava are 2 disparate people, implying huge differences in personality or background.
And the other one, spoken and written English is disparate, highlighting that they're fundamentally different skills needing separate practice.
So it emphasizes a really significant, deep-seated difference, not just a minor variation.
Okay, let's recap part 4. Immaculate for perfectly clean, lethargic for sluggish tiredness, appetizing for sensory appeal,
Perilous for very dangerous, innovative for introducing novelty, spacious for plenty of room.
meticulous for extreme attention to detail, bustling for energetic crowdedness, petrified for frozen with fear.
Indisparate for fundamentally different. Wow, 40 words down.
Almost there. Just part 5 left. This is really building a great resource, ready for the final 10.
Let's finish strong, starting with very exciting.
Okay, the grand finale, part 5, first pairing. Very exciting and exhilarating. 5 syllables, they noted.
Exhilarating. This suggests a really powerful kind of excitement, doesn't it? Makes you feel happy, alive, full of energy, often thrilling.
Yeah, like a rush. The example, my first skydiving was an exhilarating experience.
Perfect example. Captures that intense adrenaline-fueled joy and excitement, much stronger than just very exciting.
Definitely. Okay, next. Very competitive. The alternative is cutthroat.
Cutthroat, usually used for business or politics, right? Implying ruthless, intense competition where people will do almost anything to win.
Yeah, fierce rivalry. The example, the smartphone market is quite cutthroat.
Paints a picture of companies aggressively trying to undercut or eliminate rivals. It's competition with a sharp, maybe even unethical edge.
Not a pleasant environment. Okay, then, very cheap. This becomes stingy.
Stingy. And crucially, this refers to a person's attitude towards money, right? Unwilling to spend, ungenerous.
Exactly. Not about the price of an item, but about someone's reluctance to part with cash. The example, he's really stingy, thinks twice before buying a bottle of wine.
Clearly describes a negative personality trait related to money. They even asked if listeners knew someone stingy.
Relatable. Maybe, unfortunately. Okay, next. Very thin. The alternative is gaunt.
Gaunt. The presenter rightly pointed out this often implies thinness due to illness, hunger, or extreme worry. Needs careful use.
Yeah, it suggests a severe, often unhealthy thinness, maybe with sharp facial features showing. The example. He looked gaunt and exhausted when I visited him at the hospital.
Immediately suggests illness and a worrying lack of flesh. It's not just thin. It's thin in a way that suggests suffering or hardship.
Important distinction. Okay, very upset. This becomes distraught.
Distraught. This implies extreme upset, doesn't it? Deeply worried, agitated, maybe unable to cope.
Yeah, intense emotional distress. The example. She's still too distraught to talk about her divorce.
Conveys a level of pain and turmoil that's overwhelming, much stronger than just being very upset.
Definitely captures that deep distress. Okay, next. Very loved. Alternative.
Adored.
Adored. Adored. This is deep, intense love and respect, isn't it? Profound affection.
Yeah. The example, he's a great doctor. All his patients adore him a lot. Shows that really strong positive feeling patients have for him. The presenter cheekily hoped listeners adored the lessons. It's a lovely word for deep admiration.
It is. Okay. Very smelly. Replaced with pungent.
Pungent. This describes a smell that is strong, sharp, and often specifically unpleasant.
Right. The example. A pungent smell coming from that area of his room because the closet wasn't cleaned.
It's more descriptive than just very smelly. Think pungent cheese, pungent chemicals. It's a distinct, sharp, often invasive odor.
Good word for strong smells. Okay, very silent. Alternative.
Gives you.
Tranquil.
Tranquil. Stress on the first syllable. This suggests more than just silence. It implies peace, calmness, serenity.
Yeah, a peaceful quietness. The example, the bustling cities lay tranquil during the lockdown.
A beautiful contrast. It captures that unusual stillness and peace in a normally busy place. A tranquil garden, a tranquil lake.
Lovely word. Okay, almost done. Very cute. Replaced with fetching.
Fetching. This means attractive, charming, pleasing, maybe slightly old-fashioned, but still nice.
Yeah, the presenters noted it might be new for some. The example, it's so fetching to see the baby crawl. Go grab the camera.
It conveys that captivating quality, something charming that draws your eye. An adorableness.
Nice alternative. Okay, last one. Very empty. The alternative is desolate.
Desolate. This can describe a place empty, barren, maybe isolated and bleak.
Right, like the first example. After the fire, the neighborhood burnt to a desolate waste. Really grim picture of emptiness.
So it can also describe a feeling, right? Profound loneliness, sadness, grief.
Yeah, the second example. She felt desolate when her best friend moved away. Captures that deep sense of loss and isolation.
And the presenter tied it back cleverly, saying the channel helps stop learners feeling desolate. So desolate means utterly empty, either physically or emotionally.
And that's all 50. Wow. Quick final recap. Exhilarating for thrilling excitement, cutthroat for ruthless competition, stingy for ungenerous.
Gaunt for unhealthy thinness, distraught for extreme upset, adored for deep love and respect.
Pungent for sharp smell, tranquil for peaceful quiet, fetching for charmingly attractive.
And desolate for profound emptiness or loneliness. We did it.
We did. What a fantastic collection of words. Hopefully, everyone listening, you've not just learned some new vocabulary, but also got a feel for how these words add depth and precision.
Absolutely. The goal isn't just memorization, it's understanding the nuance, the subtle flavor each word brings, compared to just sticking very in front of everything.
Exactly. And remember, the real magic happens when you start using these words. Make a conscious effort. When you catch yourself about to say very happy, pause. Could ecstatic work? Or maybe content?
Or if something is very bad, could it be terrible, awful, dreadful, or even atrocious, depending on the situation? It's about choosing the most accurate and impactful word.
The more you practice integrating them into your daily speaking and writing, the more natural they'll feel. Your English will sound richer, more articulate.
It really is a process. Notice these words when you read or listen to English. How are native speakers using them? What context are they in? Don't be afraid to try them out yourself.
Mistakes are part of learning. The point is to expand your range. So challenge yourself. Instead of very interesting, maybe fascinating or intriguing, instead of very beautiful, perhaps stunning, gorgeous, or exquisite.
It just shows the amazing richness available in English. There are so many ways to express an idea, each with its own shade of meaning, its own emotional weight. Expanding your vocabulary unlocks that expressive power.
Couldn't agree more. Well, a massive thank you to all of you for sticking with us through this pretty detailed deep dive into vocabulary beyond very.
Yeah, thanks for your time and attention. We really hope it was valuable and helps you communicate with more confidence and flair.
And hey, if you did find this helpful and you want more tips, more deep dives, more ways to boost your English, please, seriously, do hit that subscribe button on the English Easy Here YouTube channel.
We'd love to have you as part of the community there. Lots more learning to come.
Definitely. So, thank you again for joining us. Keep practicing these words. Keep exploring the language.
And remember, every new word you learn and actually use is a real step forward on your language journey. Keep at it.
And one last huge thank you to everyone who stayed with us right to the end. Your dedication is awesome. We hope you feel equipped with some great new tools. Final reminder, English Easy, here on YouTube. Check it out.
Until next time, keep learning.
Keep learning and keep sounding fantastic. Bye for now.
Hey there, and welcome back to the Deep Dive.
Hello, everyone.
Before we jump into today's topic, just a quick but really important request. If you're getting value from these chats and you want more insights to help with your English, please take a second and hit that subscribe button for the English Easy Here channel.
Definitely do that. We've got loads more planned to help you on your learning journey.
Absolutely. So today we're diving into something I think a lot of you grapple with.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
How to become a really, truly effective English reader.
Yes.
Yeah.
A big one. We know it's a challenge for so many learners.
Exactly. And you've given us some really interesting material to work with.
We have a great mix of sources, actually.
So our mission today basically is to unpack all of that and pull out the absolute best strategies to help you read English texts with, more confidence and just better understanding.
That's the plan. We've got stuff covering practical, daily habits you can build.
Okay.
Dumb grammar mistakes that might trip you up.
Useful.
Ways you can practice speaking even when you're on your own.
Interesting.
And even some, academic research looking into how reading comprehension actually works in the brain.
Wow, okay. So a real mix. We're going to try and weave all that together then.
Exactly. We want to give you a clear, kind of step-by-step path forward, things you can genuinely start using, like today.
Good. Because the goal isn't just listening to us talk, right?
Not at all. We want to arm you, really. Give you some maybe surprising facts, but definitely practical techniques.
Techniques that make reading feel less daunting.
Yes. Less overwhelming, more empowering, unlocking that potential you have as an English reader.
Okay, I'm ready. Let's dive in. Where should we start? Maybe setting the scene. Why is reading comprehension so important anyway?
Good place to start.
Yeah.
Well, one of the papers we looked at by Fadila and her colleagues really nails this.
Yeah.
They point out that we're just drowning in information these days, right?
Tell me about it.
So whether you're studying or working or just trying to keep up with the world, being able to effectively read and understand English isn't just nice to have. It's fundamental.
It's how you access knowledge, basically.
Exactly. It's the key to lifelong learning, academic success, all of it. It's a real cornerstone skill.
And I know from my own experience, and I bet a lot of you listening feel this too, that feeling of hitting a wall of text in English and just struggling, it can be really discouraging.
Oh, absolutely. It's a common frustration.
So what are the main roadblocks? Why is it so tough for learners sometimes?
Well, that same paper, Fadila et al., highlights a few key things. The big one, maybe the most obvious, is vocabulary gaps.
Right. Not knowing the words.
Exactly. Think about it. If you hit too many words you don't know, it's like a puzzle with half the pieces missing.
You just can't see the picture.
Precisely. And English vocabulary is, well, it's huge and complex, isn't it?
Yeah.
So many sources, so many nuances.
Yeah, words from Latin, German, French.
Well,
it's a real mix.
Which means even simple-looking texts can hide tricky words.
Yeah, okay, so vocabulary is massive. What else?
Another big factor they mention is not having enough background knowledge.
So it's not just the words, it's what you know about the topic already.
Exactly. Imagine trying to read about, say, astrophysics if you've never even heard of planets.
Right. Impossible, even in your own language.
Right. So if you lack the context, the schema for the topic in English, understanding becomes much harder. You're trying to fit new information into like an empty box.
That makes total sense. It's the knowledge you bring to the page.
It is. And then the third major thing is inadequate reading strategies.
Okay, what does that mean exactly?
It means just telling someone read more isn't always enough. Learners often need to be explicitly taught how to read effectively.
Like techniques.
Yes, specific techniques. Without them, you might just be scanning words, not really digging into the meaning. Feels passive.
Like having tools but no idea how to use them. You might know some words, but not how to figure out a complex sentence or find the main idea.
That's a great analogy. And this leads to a really crucial point, something the National Reading Panel emphasized way back in 2000. And Fadila's team echoes it.
Which is?
The critical need for explicit instruction in reading strategies.
So actually teaching people how to comprehend.
Yes. Directly teaching things like how to predict what's coming next, how to summarize a paragraph in your head, how to ask yourself questions as you read.
Ah, okay. Active stuff.
Very active. They found really strong evidence that when learners are taught these things directly, their comprehension improves significantly. It's about giving you the mental toolkit.
Fascinating. So it's not just passive absorption, it's active engagement using learned strategies. Okay, that paints a clear picture of the why and the what's difficult. Let's switch gears.
Let's talk solutions.
Exactly. Practical stuff. Daily habits. You mentioned an article by Joe Asker. Sounds like it's full of good ideas.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Yeah.
Really practical, down-to-earth advice for weaving English into your day.
The sustainable stuff.
Exactly. Small, consistent actions. Asker really emphasizes that these little things add up massively over time, like planting seeds, little efforts, big results later.
I like that. Okay, first habit.
First one, listen to something in English every day.
Okay, that feels doable. Why listening for reading improvement?
Well, the beauty is its flexibility. You can do it while commuting, doing chores, working out. Anytime your ears are free, basically.
Passive immersion.
Partly, yeah. Creating that English environment around you, but it also trains your ear for the sounds, the rhythm, the flow of the language.
Which helps when you see those words written down later.
Precisely. It makes the language feel more familiar. Askers suggest things like BBC 6-minute English, great short format.
Yeah, I know that one. Very clear.
Or something longer form, like How to Fail with Elizabeth Day, for more natural conversation, different accents. Variety is key.
Okay, good tips. What's next on Asker's list?
Speak out loud, even to yourself.
Okay. This one might feel a bit weird for people initially.
It might, but it's incredibly powerful. First, it gets your mouth moving, practicing the physical act of making English sounds.
Right, the muscles.
Yeah. And second, you practice pronunciation, intonation, rhythm. You start to internalize how English feels to speak.
How do you do it without feeling silly?
Asker suggests repeating sentences from those podcasts or videos. Or try shadowing, mimicking a speaker in real time.
Like following along right behind them?
Exactly, matching their pitch, their stress. And hey, do it in the car or the shower. No audience needed. Your kitchen is your stage.
Okay, I like shadowing. Sounds active. What else?
This one's crucial. Read what you actually enjoy.
Oh, yes. Please tell me I don't have to read boring textbooks.
Absolutely not. Asker stresses this. If it feels like punishment, you won't stick with it. Find stuff that interests you.
Like what?
News sites on topics you care about. The Conversation, The Guardian were mentioned. Or social media captions from people you follow. Blog posts about your hobbies. Fan fiction, anything.
So if I love cooking, read cooking blogs in English.
Perfect. If you're into gaming, read gaming news. The key is engagement. When you're interested, you absorb the language much more naturally. It doesn't feel like work.
That's a huge relief. It takes the pressure off. Okay, makes sense.
Linked to that, use new vocabulary straight away.
The use it or lose it's principle.
Pretty much. You hear a new word, you read a new word, great. But if you don't do something with it, it often just evaporates.
So what can you do?
Actively engage. Try writing a sentence, using it. Say it out loud a few times. Use it in a text to a friend. Teach it to someone.
That active step really cements it, doesn't it? Moves it from passive recognition to active recall.
Exactly. That's how you build your working vocabulary, the words you can actually use, which then makes reading smoother too.
Okay, use new words quickly. What other habits?
Another interesting one, talk to yourself in English.
Okay, similar to speaking out loud, but more internal.
Yes, or just narrating your day. It's about building the habit of thinking in English. That's a massive step towards fluency and better comprehension.
How does that work in practice? Just switch your internal monologue.
Yeah, Asker gives examples. Instead of must reply to that email, think I need to reply to that email, or what's for dinner becomes what should I have for dinner?
Little switches.
Little switches. You can even record yourself talking for a minute each day. Helps track progress, notice patterns.
Recording yourself could be insightful, if a bit confronting.
Maybe, but useful.
Yeah.
Then there's follow English-speaking content creators you love.
Back to the enjoyment factor.
Totally. Find people talking about your passions, cooking, tech, travel, whatever, but in English.
So you get natural, everyday language in a context you already like.
Exactly. You learn almost by accident, just by absorbing it. It feels less like study, more like fun.
Yeah, I can see that. It makes it effortless.
Almost. Next, link English to your daily routine.
Okay, habit stacking.
Kinda, yeah. Connect English practice to things you already do. Listen to that podcast while cooking. Try following a recipe in English. Narrate your morning routine in English as you do it.
Layering it onto existing habits. Clever. So you don't need to find time.
Precisely. It removes that barrier. Then write a little bit each day.
Oh, writing sounds hard.
Doesn't have to be. Not essays, just a sentence in a journal. A to-do list in English. A comment on social media.
Okay, small scale. Why does writing help reading?
It makes you reflect. Process vocabulary. Think about sentence structure actively. Solidify things.
Right, it forces you to construct the language, which helps you deconstruct it when reading.
Well put. And then a really crucial mindset point from Asker. Let go of perfection.
Oh, this is huge for language learners, the fear of mistakes.
It's paralyzing. The goal, especially early on, is communication, understanding, not perfect grammar. The people who improve fastest are often the ones willing to just try mistakes and all.
Mistakes are just learning opportunities, really. Data points.
Exactly. They show you what to work on. Don't let fear stop you.
So important. Okay, last one from Asker.
Yes. Celebrate every little win.
The motivational piece.
So important. Did you understand a phrase you didn't before? Read an article with fewer dictionary lookups. Acknowledge it. Pat yourself on the back.
Yeah, notice the progress. It keeps you going.
It really does. That positive reinforcement is key for motivation.
Wow, okay. That's a really solid set of practical daily habits from Joe Asker. It feels like a really accessible foundation.
It really is. Very grounded in making English part of your actual life.
So, building on that active engagement idea, let's talk about solo speaking practice. You mentioned a resource from Engvid.
Yes, a great video focusing on how you can improve your speaking, even if you don't have someone to talk to.
Which is a common situation for learners, right? Finding practice partners can be tricky.
It really can. So these solo techniques are super valuable.
Okay, what's the first one they suggest?
First up is shadowing, which we touched on with Asker's tips too.
Right, mimicking a speaker.
Yeah, but Engvid really stresses mimicking everything: the pronunciation, the intonation, the rhythm, the pauses. Pause the video, rewind, repeat. Really try to sound like them.
So it's about catching the music of the language, not just the words.
Exactly. Training your ear and your mouth, getting that natural flow.
Okay, shadowing. What else can you do alone?
Simple but effective. Reading out loud.
Just reading a text aloud.
Yeah, seems basic, but it exercises those speaking muscles. More importantly, it forces you to pay closer attention to sentence structure, grammar, word forms.
Things you might skim over when reading silently.
Precisely. The video suggests slowing down, maybe identifying the verb tenses, noticing how phrases are built. It makes you engage more consciously.
And gets the words physically out of your mouth, like Asker said about singing.
Exactly. Gets you comfortable articulating. Okay, third technique from Engvid, visualizing.
Visualizing, like imagining scenarios.
Yes. Imagine real-life situations where you'd need English. Ordering coffee, making a doctor's appointment, chatting with someone at a party.
And then what? Practice the conversation in your head. Or out loud.
Out loud, ideally.
Yeah.
Practice what you would actually say. Try different phrases. It's like a mental rehearsal.
Builds confidence for when the real situation happens. Low pressure practice.
Exactly. You can make mistakes. Try again, no pressure. Fourth one is fun for many. Singing English songs.
Karaoke practice.
Basically, learn the lyrics to songs you love. Sing along. It's great for pronunciation, rhythm.
And just getting words to flow naturally.
Yeah. Plus, as Asker also noted, it's good cultural exposure and can be really memorable. You connect words to melodies.
Definitely a fun way to learn. What's the last solo practice tip?
This one's maybe a bit more advanced, practicing poems and monologues.
Like reciting Shakespeare.
Doesn't have to be that complex. Start small. Short bits from movies, maybe famous speeches, or simple poems.
What's the benefit of that?
It pushes you beyond just conveying information. You have to think about intonation for emotion, stress for emphasis, like acting, almost.
Ah, so it adds expression to your speaking. They mentioned the taken monologue.
Ah, yes. I will find you. A memorable example of delivering lines with intent. It adds another layer to your practice.
That's actually a really cool idea. It pushes you to think about how you say things.
Exactly. So lots you can do on your own. And all this speaking practice feeds back into reading, making you more comfortable and familiar with the language's structure and sound.
Okay, great stuff on solo practice. Now let's circle back to something you mentioned earlier from the Fadilla research. The absolutely critical role of vocabulary in reading comprehension. You said it was like the bedrock.
It really is. Their research hammers home this strong, direct link. If your vocabulary is limited, your comprehension ceiling is also lower. It's hard to build understanding without the basic building blocks.
Makes sense. You can't understand a sentence if you don't know most of the words. So how do we effectively build that vocabulary? What strategies work?
Fadilla and colleagues discuss several evidence-based methods. One key approach is explicit instruction.
So direct teaching, like flashcards and lists.
Exactly. Deliberately learning word meanings, how to use them, synonyms, antonyms. Focused study. It ensures you consciously process and try to retain new words.
Rather than just hoping you absorb them.
Right. But that's not the only way. Another crucial skill is contextual learning.
Figuring out words from the sentences around them.
Yes. Inferring meaning from context. This is vital because you won't always have a dictionary. It makes you a more independent reader.
The word detective skill. Using clues in the text.
That's it. Then there's fostering word consciousness.
Word consciousness. What's that?
It's about developing a general interest in words, being curious about them.
How do you do that?
Through word games, maybe? Crosswords, Scrabble, actively noticing new words you encounter. Just paying more attention to language, appreciating its richness.
Shifting your mindset to be more inquisitive about words themselves.
Exactly. Making it less of a chore, more of an exploration. And finally, they mention mnemonic devices.
Memory tricks, like rhymes or images.
Yes. Using memory aids to help make words stick, especially abstract or tricky ones. Creating a funny image or a little story associated with the word.
Those can feel a bit silly sometimes, but they really work for locking things in long-term memory.
They can be surprisingly effective.
Yeah.
So the BOMT approach seems to be a mix, right? Direct study, learning from context, being curious, and using memory tricks when needed.
A multi-pronged attack on vocabulary building.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And that strong vocabulary is just fundamental for tackling complex texts and really understanding them deeply.
Okay, vocabulary is crucial. Got it. Now, another fascinating point from Fadilla et al. Was about prior knowledge, what we already know.
Yes, the power of prior knowledge, or schema theory. It's a really big deal in comprehension.
Explain that again. How does what I already know help me read something new?
Basically, your brain stores information in connected networks like mental file folders called schemas. When you read something new, your brain tries to connect it to an existing folder.
Okay.
The more relevant knowledge you already have stored in that folder, the easier it is to understand and remember the new information. It has a place to fit.
So I'm not learning in a vacuum. I'm connecting new dots to old dots.
Perfectly put. And we can consciously activate this prior knowledge before reading to boost comprehension.
How? What are the techniques?
Fadilla's team suggests several. One is using KWL charts.
KWL, what's that stand for?
K is what I already know about the topic. W is what I want to know or learn from reading. And L is what I learned after reading.
So you brainstorm what you know first, set some goals, then reflect afterwards.
Exactly. It makes you actively engage with your existing knowledge and gives your reading purpose. Very effective.
Simple but powerful. What else?
Just simple pre-reading discussion or brainstorming, talking about the topic beforehand, or just jotting down initial thoughts.
Like a warm-up for your brain.
Exactly. Gets the relevant mental files open and ready. Hearing others' ideas can also spark connections.
Makes sense. Any other ways to activate knowledge?
Using visual aids like concept maps or mind maps.
Drawing connections?
Yes, visually mapping out what you know and then adding the new concepts from the text that helps you see the relationships, the bigger picture.
I find those really helpful for organizing complex information.
Me too. And finally, using relatable analogies or storytelling.
How does that work?
Connecting the new, maybe abstract, ideas in the text to your own personal experiences or familiar stories.
Building a bridge from the unknown to the known, anchoring it.
Exactly. It makes the information more concrete, more memorable, more relevant to you.
So activating prior knowledge isn't just about understanding the text better.
No, it also boosts critical thinking and problem solving because you're engaging with the material on a much deeper, more connected level.
It really highlights reading as an active, constructive process, not just passive decoding.
Absolutely. Okay, shall we move on to another key element? Fluency?
Right, reading fluency. Fadela and colleagues talked about this too.
They did. They emphasized the link between reading fluently and understanding more deeply.
So fluency is basically reading smoothly, without stopping and starting all the time.
Essentially, yes. It has three parts. Accuracy, reading the words correctly. Speed reading at a decent pace, not too slow, not too fast. And expression reading with the right intonation and phrasing, so it sounds natural and reflects the meaning.
Okay, accuracy, speed, expression. Why does that help comprehension?
Because fluent reading frees up your brain power. If you're not struggling over every single word.
Your mind has space to think about the meaning.
Exactly. You have more cognitive resources available to actually process the ideas, make connections, understand the message. Less energy on decoding, more on comprehending.
That makes perfect sense. If decoding is hard work, there's no mental room left for meaning. So how do you build fluency?
One key strategy is repeated reading.
Reading the same thing over and over.
Yes, usually a short passage. Reading it multiple times helps you get faster and more accurate with that text. And some of that improved fluency carries over to other reading.
Builds confidence and automaticity with those words and structures.
It does. Another method is guided oral reading.
Reading aloud with help.
Yeah, with a teacher, tutor, or even a more advanced friend or language partner giving you feedback on your pronunciation, pace, expression.
That immediate feedback sounds really valuable for targeting weaknesses.
It can be very effective.
Yeah.
And they also suggest integrating fluency practice with comprehension activities.
So not just reading fast, but reading well for meaning.
Exactly. Things like paired reading, where you take turns reading aloud with someone, or even performance reading, like reading a script or story expressively. It connects fluency to the goal of understanding and communicating.
Makes it more meaningful.
Right. And a crucial point here is choosing the right texts.
Not too hard, not too easy.
Exactly. You need something at your instructional level, challenging enough to push you, but not so hard that you're constantly stumbling and getting frustrated. That sweet spot.
Finding that sweet spot is key for motivation too, I imagine.
Definitely. So building fluency is vital. It gets you past the word level struggle so you can focus on the deeper meaning.
Okay, we've covered a lot. Habits, speaking, vocabulary, prior knowledge, fluency. Now, you also mentioned grammar. From Grammarly.
Yes. While it's maybe more about writing clearly, being aware of common grammar mistakes can actually help your reading comprehension too.
How so? If the writer makes a mistake, isn't that their problem?
It is. But if you, as the reader, are aware of common pitfalls, you might be better able to understand the writer's intended meaning, even if the grammar is a bit off, or at least recognize potential ambiguity.
So it makes you a more savvy reader, able to navigate slightly imperfect text.
Sort of, yeah. Grammarly highlights things like commonly confused homophones.
Words that sound the same but mean different things.
Exactly. Those classic mix-ups. It's their affect then.
Oh, yeah. Those can definitely cause a flicker of confusion if used incorrectly.
Right. You have to pause and mentally correct it. Knowing the difference helps you process it faster.
Okay, what else?
They also mention words like less, fewer, farther, further, like such as words with specific usage rules. Understanding those rules helps clarify the writer's precise meaning.
Subtle distinctions, but they can matter for clarity.
They can. And they briefly mention things like misplaced modifier sentences, where it's unclear what a descriptive phrase is referring to.
Those can be confusing or sometimes accidentally funny.
Exactly. And the difference between active and passive voice. Active voice is usually clearer and more direct, easier to follow as a reader.
So while fixing grammar is the writer's job, understanding these common issues helps the reader interpret the text more accurately.
Precisely. It gives you a stronger overall grasp of how English works, which naturally supports reading comprehension.
Okay, so we've explored all these different angles: daily habits, solo speaking, vocab, prior knowledge, fluency, even grammar awareness. It's a lot. How do you pull it all together effectively?
That's the key question, isn't it? And the answer seems to be integration. Don't treat these as separate things.
Combine them.
Yes. Weave them together. See them as interconnected tools supporting each other.
Can you give an example of how that might look?
Sure. So maybe you listen to your daily English podcast, Habit. You hear an interesting phrase, so you pause and shadow it a few times, solo speaking.
Okay.
You notice a new word, so you jot it down, look it up later, and try to use it in a sentence. Vocabulary building.
Right.
Before listening, you might quickly think, okay, this episode is about urban gardening. What do I know about that? Activating prior knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe later, you find the transcript online and read part of it aloud to practice smoothness, fluency.
Ah, I see. It's about creating those links, making it a cycle.
Exactly. A positive feedback loop where each activity reinforces the others, becomes a more holistic approach.
And finding what works for you, personally.
Crucially important, experiment. See which techniques click with your learning style, your interests, your goals. Not everything works for everyone. Find your mix.
It's a personal journey.
It absolutely is. And the most important ingredient underpinning everything is consistency.
Keep showing up.
Yes, even small amounts of effort, done regularly, day after day, that's what leads to real significant progress over time. Don't get discouraged by slow days. Just keep going.
That's such an encouraging message. It's not about giant leaps. It's about steady steps.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So wrapping it all up, becoming a confident English reader is about building habits, practicing actively, even alone, growing your vocabulary, leveraging what you already know, reading more smoothly, and having a bit of grammar awareness. It's a combination approach.
Well, thank you. That was incredibly thorough and insightful. I really hope this deep dive gives you, our listener, some concrete tools and the confidence to really boost your English reading.
We hope so too. And please remember, learning is a journey. It's not linear. There will be ups and downs.
And mistakes are okay.
More than okay. They're essential. They show you're pushing yourself. Embrace them as part of the process.
So we really encourage you to look back at these strategies we discussed. Think about which ones sparked your interest.
Which ones feel like something you could actually start doing, maybe even tomorrow. Pick one or two to begin with.
Yeah, start small. And we'd love to hear from you.
Definitely. What were your main takeaways? Are there specific techniques you're excited to try out?
Let us know in the comments below. Share your thoughts, your questions, your progress. We genuinely enjoy hearing how you're getting on.
We really do.
And of course, if you found this deep dive useful, if it gave you some value for your English learning,
please do subscribe.
It helps us keep creating this content, and it means you won't miss future deep dives.
Thank you so much to everyone who's stuck with us through this entire discussion. We know it was detailed.
Your dedication to learning is awesome. And yes, one last reminder to subscribe if you haven't already.
We wish you all the very best on your continuing English learning journey. Keep at it.